أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه البر الميامين وبعد. We'll continue today inshallah, although we don't have as much time, with the story of the creation of Adam and Eve. And we go back a little bit to verse 29 of surah Albaqarah, which states that Allah has created for us, everything on earth. And then He turned to the sky and turned it into 7 skies. Some interpreters, and I'm becoming one of them, believe that it's all one universe from the point of view of Allah, and it's the light of Allah in our consciousness of the reality of the creation. It is that consciousness that, depending on how much light we have in our heart, that goes through stages of awareness of these 7 different universes. For Allah there is no time and there is no place. Everything is like an instant, and everything is like one place. And that's why Allah can say to us, I am with you wherever you are, but at the same time He is on top of the 7th sky on His throne. And your Lord said to the angels, I'm going to create, or to put a deputy on earth, someone in charge of the earth. And although the angels knew and politely asked whether that means that Allah has chosen someone who would shed blood and spread destruction on earth, and were suggesting that it might be a better idea to put an angel there. It was Allah's will to put someone on earth in charge who has knowledge, who has the ability to understand things by knowing their names. And knowing the names is a source of great honor. So Allah has asked the angels to prostrate to Adam out of respect for Adam and out of respect for Allah's creation. But Iblis, Satan, he was among the angels. He was not an angel, as another verse tells us clearly that he was a jinn. He refused, and he sought to place himself above others. This is usually translated became arrogant, or was arrogant, or was too proud. And in other verses, Allah explains to us that the problem with Iblis, the reason he decided to go to hell by defying Allah openly and persistently, was his bigotry, his racism. He said, I can't prostrate and show respect to someone who's made of dirt. I'm made of fire. Please don't ask me that. That was his attitude. So he is the father of evil. He's the father of the jinn and the father of evil, but not all jinn are evil. There are jinn who are Muslims, and there are jinn who are Christians. There are jinn of all sorts. The jinn who not only reject the Quran and all scripture, but also dedicate themselves to the service of Iblis, which means the service of trying to bring people into their path, into the path of rejection and arrogance, a path that will ultimately lead to the fire, where they all know they are going. Those are called shaytan. And the word shaytan means singular and plural at the same time, and it encompasses all of them, including shaytan himself, who is Iblis. But shaytan is the name of the whole kind, of the whole species. Not all the jinn, but all those who are like that, of the jinn. On the other hand, the word shaitan in the Quran is also used to refer to human shaitan, and they are those who do the same. They refuse to surrender to Allah, and they are arrogant, and they deliberately support evil on earth. And we can see from other verses that the goal of evil is to take people into hell. It is more important for Iblis to bring a person into hell than to destroy that person here on earth. Sometimes Iblis would help a person become rich in order to bring them into hell. Sometimes Iblis helps a person become happy in a religion in order to bring them into hell. The Quran indicates that whenever someone turns to someone other than Allah for worship, that a jinn, a shaitan, will respond. And that means that when someone goes on their knees and prays to anything, to anyone, even if they pray to Jesus or Muhammad, a shaitan, a jinn, will respond to them and will make them feel comfortable, will soothe them, and will make them feel that it's real. Because the goal is not to make people wretched, but to take them into hell. So shaitan will do good things for us in order to take us into hell. Allah explains this scheme many times in the Quran. And now we come to verse 35, which we have not talked about in detail last time. And we said, O Adam, reside, you and your wife. Zawj means wife or husband, spouse. They usually translate it spouse, but depending on context, it's either wife or husband. It can also mean a mate, and it can also mean a species, a kind. But it cannot mean both in the same place. In this place, addressing Adam, it clearly means wife. Reside you and your wife in the Jannah, in the garden, the orchard. Why do I say orchard? Because he says, and eat from it. You don't eat from a garden, you eat from an orchard. So Jannah, paradise, is more of an orchard than a garden. Has fruits. Eat whatever you want happily and generously. But don't come near to this tree, because if you do, you will become wrongdoers. And shaitan made them slip from it. Slip from where? Slip from the orchard. Maybe slip into eating that tree. And then the following phrase says, and he brought them out from what they were in. So he brought them out of paradise. And we said, descend from it. Some of you are enemies to others. This is such a general phrase. It means shaitans or shaitan are enemies to humans, but it also means that humans are enemies to humans. And you shall have a place of settling on earth and enjoyment or consumption for a while or until a certain time. Then Adam received words, not words, actually statements, kalimat, kalima. Modern day Arabs understand kalima to mean a word, but in Old Arabic, kalima is statement. So Adam received statements from his Lord, and these statements are explained in other verses. Actually, the prayer of Adam, which is these statements, a prayer for forgiveness, is stated in a few words, maybe literally. And Allah accepted his penitence. Allah redeemed him, accepted him. So Adam was not left with a sin, and as you see, the Quran does not blame Eve or Hawa. And it was not the end of the world to make a violation. It was just the beginning of life on earth. God is forgiving and merciful. And the principle of life on earth follows in verse 38. And Allah this time repeats the command. We said, descend from it, all of you. All of you here. Well, if it was just Adam and Eve, it would be both of you. But we know that shaitan also descended to earth. So it was Allah's plan, regardless of what shaitan did and regardless of what Adam and his wife did. It was the plan to place them on earth, as the verses before stated. And here's the principle on earth. This is such a wonderful principle stated in a few words in the rest of the verse 38. If we contemplate this and keep it in our mind, it will guarantee us internal peace, spiritual peace, peace of mind, internal happiness, regardless of what happens. And here are the words. Here is the statement. فإما يأتينكم مني هدى فمن تبع هداي فلا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون. Whenever you receive from me guidance, those who follow my guidance, they shall not be afflicted by any fear, and they shall not be afflicted by any sadness. No fear, no sadness, no worries, no depression. Nothing will threaten them, and nothing will make them sad if they follow the guidance. So this guidance is also a treatment for anxiety. It's also a treatment for depression, a preemptive treatment, because the verse suggests that fear and sadness will not even come to them. You might see someone in the middle of calamity, like when they find out that they have gone bankrupt, or they find out that someone has died. You might look at them and see no shock, no sadness in them. And their friends and relatives, their family might look at them and say, "Don't you care?" But if you know that that person is a believer, then you know why they are not being shocked. No fear, no sadness. They live the Quran. They live these verses that are full of guidance and preemptive healing for everything that might happen. And then the following verse tells us the opposite. And those who reject our verses and call them lies, or reject our verses and do not react according to them. Kazabu means take as lies or not confirm. So those who do not live by the verses of the Quran, and those who kafaru means are in denial about the veracity, the truth, and the need to follow these verses, so that you have no fear and no sadness. Why should we have no fear and no sadness? It's because we know this life here is only a test. It's a training. It's an exercise. It's a fitna, an experience that will bring out the good in us and will purge the negative in us. It's a constructive process. Why should we be sad? Why should we be fearful? But those who reject these guidances, these verses, they are the companions, the owners of the fire, of the hellfire. And in it they shall be forever, eternal. We'll stop here, and the following verses, 40 all the way to many verses. There are, in the middle, there are some verses that talk about something else. But from ayah 40 on, the Quran talks about the children of Israel, but in doing that, it tells the Muslims that they are going to do similar things. And the same things that happened to the children of Israel will happen to them. At the same time, for those who believe, Allah delivers His first portion of guidance and preemptive medicine against fear and sadness by exposing the ways of the crooked and the ways of evil. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil mursaleen. Al-Fatiha. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. Sirata alladhina an'amta alayhim. غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.